2 of these came with my long arm. It's a problem because one of the very first things you do is you take your machine and you, hang on a second. It's always on me. I'll just reach up and grab my snips. Hang on a second. We got to get locked and loaded here with some. Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts, Dawn at the Lake. Whatever you want to call this channel, I'll answer to all of it. My friends, I'm here with a problem, and I'm going to share with you why I had a problem and why I've not touched this in 2 days to be able to solve that problem. It's kind of easy, straightforward, real simple. Let me show you. All right, do you see the fact that the top of the quilt is further away from the red bar on this side than it is on this side? It's a problem because one of the very first things you do is you take your machine and you baste the top of the quilt top, so that it's kind of staying in place. And you want to lock it in place so that it's only going horizontal, that it can't go vertical any at all, so that you get a nice straight line. And you want your top to be really lined up well with the bottom, so that your backing fabric doesn't end up being on a diagonal when you take this quilt off, right? Or your top isn't on a diagonal to the back, or both are askew. I mean, you just don't want any of that, right? So I noticed what I had done, and I realized why. The reason is because of these little red bars. They're not bars. What are they called? Rods, I guess, but they're snappers. That's what they're called. So you can see it best back here. Let me get some for you, and I'll show you. So this is how they come, kind of folded in on each other like that to save space. And they've not been used before, and they're plastic, so they're very rigid. And I have very weak hands. So putting this on was a bit of a challenge. And as I was snapping the end of the quilt onto this leader board here, I didn't get it on straight. And I'm going to take it all off. And as I get down to that area, I'll show you. So I kind of noticed it. And I thought, is it going to really make a difference? And I wasn't using my best thinking at the time, because of course it's going to make a big difference. I know now every time you notice in these little bitty things, those little bitty things become bigger things as you get further along in the process. So I, stopped before I got any further. There's no real way of correcting this. There's no cheat way that I know of correcting this. Just got to take this off, put it back on that leader, and then wind it back up. So what I did, though, like I said, my hands are extraordinarily weak, and I almost didn't go with the snappers. I was just going with pinning. But pinning, which is what I did for the first one, and you can get it nice and straight pinning because you're going nice and slow. But that's the thing, pinning is very slow. So I didn't want to go with the pinning. Also, with the pinning, you're looking down for longer, and that's hard on the neck. So I thought, okay, I can do the snapper because my mentor, Sherry, she has the snappers, but hers are well used and they're very limber, and hers are longer too. Hers are about 4 foot, if not more. She said those aren't made anymore, that, she's got the original set of them, I guess. You can't find those anywhere. She said you may be able to find it from someone selling their estate. Those are really nice, but these come in, I don't know, let me see what this is, 19 inches. And then you get a couple of the little short ones too, so that you can just add a little one if you need to. So taking them off is not a problem for me, but putting them on was really awkward because it's so stiff. So I left it on. I think it's been 3 days now. And I thought about leaving it on to this afternoon, but I'm about to leave to go into town, and I want to see if in the amount of time that I've got, if I can move this forward in such a way that I'm not worried about getting started when I get back. Like, that's one of the things I'm going to have to learn to do, is how to multitask with this. So let me unwind this and put it back on, and you can watch. Let me get you in a better position where you can see better. We'll change to the other tripod. At first I was a little discouraged by how hard it was to put this on. And I thought, gosh, is that going to be that hard each time? And then I realized it wasn't that hard with Sherry's. So I don't need to be discouraged. So first thing I do is I have to unlock the cam. I guess it's what you'd call this wheel down here. And I'm just going to unwind this. And I do it, I'm going to get you closer. I do it by, not by, that's how you unlock it. And then I do it by grabbing the metal part. So I'm not putting any torque on my leader. I want that to last as long as possible. So I'm just going to unwind, 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 unwind. And then whenever I get it done, I'll lock it back in place. It's getting twisted up over there. It grabbed some of itself. So I need to grab a thread and it was pulling itself back over on top of it. Okay, so let's keep on going. Got a thread over here too. Okay, so another lesson is being learned. Trim up the edges so you don't get threads, because there's no telling how that's going to be affected. You don't want it getting caught up in your quilting. Like there's some threads right here too. And I knew to look for such a thing in the field of the quilt, but I didn't take them off the edge, so I will do that. Learning is fun. I do like learning. I do like learning. But I have been on overload, learning so much constantly. Okay, all right, yeah, one more twist. There we go. Just a little twist. Okay, a little bit more. Yeah, so you can see, I don't know how well you can tell there, and I should have paid attention. This is why I don't like to do things when I'm really tired. I just wasn't feeling good. I was just, all the holidays and doing this move and everything, I was just too fatigued. And that's why I don't like to do things when I'm tired. So you can see there's a lot more here than there is down here. I've got to have that equal all the way down. So I'm going to take this off. And you don't like to lay things onto your quilt surface. Number one, you don't want to get in the habit of it because you never know if there might be any oils or stains or anything that you could get onto your quilt top, your customer's quilt top. But you also don't want to affect the stretch of things. It's not a problem so much right now because we don't have it all where we need it, but it could be. Okay, so starting all over. So I'm hoping that what happened by leaving these guys on here, that they're more pliable. They say that you can put a hair dryer on them and make them more pliable. And I might do that, or I've got a heater over here that puts out a lot of heat, might do that. But I wanted to see if having them splayed open to fit around this was a good fix. Let's start with that. So what I'm going to look for, number one, I don't want to just get a little bit of the quilt in here. It doesn't really matter from my understanding right now. What I want is to make sure that this is parallel. All these lines that are parallel are going to run parallel to the quilt, to the bars. And it looks like it is. That looks good. See if we can't. So I don't want to distort it any as I put my snapper on. Oh, this is going on much easier. Much, much, much easier. Good. Okay. And I don't feel like I distorted it at all. When you get to the point where you're working on quilting this side, you take the snappers off and all this just lays down on top of the sandwich. So it doesn't matter if there's a couple inches or 3 inches on this side. Not really, not that I know of yet. You more experienced quilters, long arm quilters out there could correct me, please, if I say anything wrong. I don't want to mislead anybody. I'm just sharing my journey. The way my mentor taught me to put these on, I think works best because hers is a longer snapper, and it was about how you hold this in place with your thumb and hold the fabric taut and all this. But I'm not able to do that with this thumb. So I'm having to find my own way, which is fine, And it might mean I have some false starts every once in a while, that I put this thing on and then I get it wound up and find out I'm a little bit askew. So you can see I've got more here than I do here. How does that play out? As I twist this up, am I going to get these horizontal lines looking like they're horizontal? Or are they going to look messed up? Let's see. Put my lock on. Okay, you see right there, it looks like it's going straight across, like it's not wavy. I think we're good. I'm going to continue to wind. You want to pull out any excess so that it's getting a nice tight fit. Okay, so first thing I do is I pull it down. Okay. And this is not going to be good. So what I'm noticing here is that this border is shy of hitting the edge of this border. So I don't know that the quilter, so I can't rely on I can't rely on what the gap is from here to here. I have to look at what it is from here to here and make sure that's consistent all the way across. And then the two vertical borders are going to be extra. They're going to be just a little bit longer. Okay, so start again. I think what I should have probably done is go ahead and take this off the other night and put the snappers back on with just this instead of doing it on the quilt top, so that I don't risk any distortion. By leaving it on there extra long, I'm risking distortion of the fabric. And that's not good, right? Nobody wants that. Learning as I'm going. That's why I'm practicing. I want to probably use my thumb to make adjustments. Like if my thumb is riding underneath that snapper, then I can get a feel for where it's getting out of alignment. There, it's getting out of alignment. Some minor distortion, minor distortion of your alignment, you can manage. See, it's going back and forth there. I think I'll just need to start on one end and then make sure before I snap any more, I've got the same distance. Okay. See, it's going, as I run my thumb gently along that snapper, there's more hanging off this side. It looks to be about right. So you can see how it's changing here a little bit. When I put this back up here, I did not leave enough room on this side. Okay, I think that's worth trying again. Let's see what happens. Two of these came with my long arm. No, 4 did. So I'm going to use these on the outside edges. See if you can see that far. Yeah, I'm going to use these on the outside edges so that I'm going to put it a little bit further out of your view, but it clamps on here so that the leader, as I'm rolling it, doesn't try to flop in the wrong direction, and so that your fabric doesn't start to stretch as weight is pulling on it. So doing it probably pretty close to the end. Okay, the leader clamps are on. Trying to get this where it pulls nice and smoothly. I think what I'll do is I'll cut off all those frayed edges. I'll trim on those as they come around. They're not here to me just yet. So as I rotate this, I'm going to be getting the slack out so that this runs nice and tight. You know, there's no slack built up inside the roll. I'm going to be pulling it out from inside there, making sure that the edges, you know, so that what's coming from underneath doesn't start migrating this whole thing that way. And it looks like it could, so I'm kind of pulling it this way a little bit. Just minor little persuasive movements. That's all it takes. Just like rolling up, you know, wrapping paper, which we've all done here at Christmas. Go nice and slow. No need to be in a hurry. Not at this point. You get things set up right, you're setting yourself up for success and everything to go smoothly. I'm going to trim on some of these edges first. Some of these frayed ends are here where I can get to them. Any of those frayed pieces that are in the middle of the field, those get trimmed up with my little snips. I got myself a lanyard for holding my snips. I'll show you. So I got my apron because I noticed that Sherry uses an apron, and it was pulling on my neck, so I was trying to create a way that I may have to do some modifying to this. I will have to do some modifying to this because I can't have it around my neck. So I just need to make it where you slide your arms into it. So what I have is this little thing so that I can wear it while I'm quilting, and it's always on me. I'll just reach up and grab my snips, and then I can cut away threads as I see them. Very carefully. You don't want to pull on them, but you don't want it getting caught up inside your quilting. I just saw one. Where did it go? It's not attached. Yes, it is. So before you send your quilts, your quilt tops to your Longarmer, you want to do this yourself, right? Because you don't want to risk someone else putting a hole in your top. I'm just pulling it a little bit to get enough tension on it so that as I clip as close to that fabric as I can, it's going to pop back as underneath the surface. So if any of you have any tutorials about how to make your apron, a regular apron that has a strap around the neck, how to put sleeves on that, because it would be fine if I don't know, it needs to have something that pulls it together in the back. I don't mind using these straps as my sleeve, but there's got to be a better solution. I don't want to invest in another apron. I like the apron. It's from my shop, right? Quilter's Got a Quilt. I like it a lot. I want to keep it. Okay, so that's all trimmed up. Let's roll some more. Get your steps in. That's going on nice and smooth. I did press just because I want to get in the habit of taking a look at everybody's tops, but I don't think I'm supposed to assume that I'm supposed to press everybody's. I think that's supposed to be an additional charge. I bring that up because right there in the center is where you've got 8 seams coming together. And so I did look at that to make sure it's lying flat and it's not going to be a problem for the needle. There's a specific type of foot on this machine that helps it to go over these kind of things. It's a little plastic, I'll show a photo, but it's a plastic little bowl that kind of glides over so you don't risk breaking a needle. I need to look back over my notes. I know Sherry told me how often you change your needles, and it was way more often than I've ever done on my other machine. So I need to take that to heart. She knows what she's doing. She's been doing it for 35 years. So when she gives me tips, I need to make sure I listen. This is coming right across. This seam is coming right across at the same point on this bar. So I'm really pleased so far with how this is going to line up. I think what I should probably do once I get my act together here inside, my organization installed, I need to get my stuff that I'm using up on my Amazon store so I can link those for you guys. I have my work surface a little higher than most would, I think, because I didn't want to have to be looking down at my work surface. And I think that's altering how I would use my wrists and my hands to do this. As my technique for doing this is a little bit different than Sherry's. I was wondering why. It might be because of height. So as that slack is lying here on the surface, I want to be more conscientious because there's no tension. As it was dragging over that back bar, there was a little bit of tension that was helping it to stay aligned. I just want to be a little bit more alert. We're getting close. We just fold this over, roll it over until this is like 2 fingers away from this red snapper. Oh, those threads are bothering me. They're not going to be seen because of how busy this backing is. But if this was a quilt with a light backing, these darker threads would make a difference. So make sure that whenever you send your tops, you've done all of your due diligence on cleaning up your top. Because if you don't catch it and I don't catch it, then it's going in the quilt. Okay, getting there. I'm going to get you a close-up of how lined up it is up there. See how that's pretty much a little bit of, I need to do a little massaging there. 2 inches. I need to make sure I don't move my fingers. That's 2 inches. Staying pretty much the same all the way across. That's good. Now, what I'll do is I'll do my basting. That's where I'm going to leave it before I go into town. I've got 10 minutes, and I don't want to fire up the machine and then have to unfire it, you know, turn it off, go through the procedures of doing that, and rush anything at all. I don't want to rush through any of this, especially while I'm just learning. So I'm going to go into town. I've got my physical therapy appointment, and I'm going to have lunch with a friend and feel like a, you know, try to feel like a normal person who's not rattled by all the messes that she's leaving behind. This is where we are. Got it reloaded, and then I baste it, and then I'm ready to pick out my design and stitch. And we'll do that when we get back. I'll see you in a split second. Hey, don't mind me. I'm just going to interrupt things right here and say, hold that thought. Things progress in ways I didn't expect. After that last video clip, oh my gosh, things kind of spiraled. It's been a kind of harried week, like, you know, hair up, fried out, dishes in the sink, dog hair on the floor, not taking a shower kind of deal, you know, where just my whole life was spent right here with one obstacle after another after another. And it was fabulous. I learned lots, and it seared into my memory all the things I learned. The quilt looks fine. It was not jeopardized for all the things I had to learn. I'm really pleased about that, and that's partly why I was so harried about it. You know, why I wasn't stressed. I tried to make sure that I kept my shoulders down and I was breathing in and out, but sometimes it was kind of tough. But there's a fabulous website, a Facebook page called it's called Pro Stitcher Posse, and there's a great group of ladies over there. And there's one lady in particular who's an educator for Pro Stitcher, and she's got all the answers. So all I've got to do when I encounter something is put it on there and wait for her to reply, because I don't know if she gets paid to monitor that page or not, or if she's just doing it out of the goodness of her heart. But she's an educator with Pro Stitcher, and she's fabulous. Betsy is eating my shoe. So I'm going to leave you right here so I can wrap up this video, but check in on the next one while I give you all the details about where this version of Dawn came from. And with that, my friends, I hope that all is going well for you. We're gearing up here for a winter event coming Friday. It's Wednesday for me right now. So making sure getting all the groceries in the house and the gas tank is filled up. There's kerosene for the kerosene heater. Medicines are in the house. Dogs have food, that kind of thing. Because there's a good chance, you know, we could lose power. We're in the South and we don't do this kind of thing. We don't do winter well. We do winter fine. We don't do icy power lines and stuff like that. We lose power easily. So just got to be prepared. Being hunkered down inside of a winter event, that's like every day for me. I hardly get out of the house. But today I'm going to get out of the house and get a couple of things done. I'll see you in the next video. Keep moving that needle.